Hello everyone, it's nice to connect with you after a long summer break. Today's topic is calculation group in Power BI. Calculation group is the new releases of Power BI. In a nutshell, calculation group helps us to define a single logic that can control all measures. In such way, it's eliminating all the need to create additional measures. Well, there could be certain limitations in this new feature, like limited visual capacity or the potential performance impact. No worries about it. In the next video, we will also talk about those potential limitations and how to bypass them. As always, before we jump into the details, let's take a look at the final products. What I'm showing here is a key measure table utilizing two calculation groups. The calculated measures pre-existing in the data model are in rows, like sales margin, fixed cost. In addition to that, there are two calculation groups. The first one is all those header for the column. As you can see, we have here the actuals. Then actual compared against previous year, against budget, against previous forecast, and against initial forecast. And for each comparison, we have the differences in absolute value and percentages. That's the first calculation group. The second calculation group is in this filter selection, YTD, that is year to date, quarter to date, and month to date. These calculation groups are indeed elevating the time intelligence calculation to the next level. First, we don't need additional measures anymore. All these key measures will remain the same without multiplying the measures. We just define the single calculation logic that will control all the measures. In this case example, we can easily switch between YTD, quarter to date, and the monthly figure. With each click, we see the values in the table change. Also, we can change to different years, and we can change to different months. Then all this measure value and the calculation group would change automatically. As opposed to the calculations before this calculation group is in place, I'm showing a table without utilizing the calculation group. So if I would like to compare sales against previous year sales, and also to calculate the differences in absolute value and in percentages, what I had to do before this calculation group is in place, I need to create 4 measures. In a way, it's multiplying the key measures 4 times. And let's take a look once more. With this calculation group function, we do not need to multiply the calculated measures anymore. Just one single logic would control all the measures. Next, we will start with the basic introduction for the calculation group. Where is it, how to enable it, and how to calculate that. After discussing the basics, we will take a look together the two real use cases, the time intelligence and the dynamic metrics. Then in the next video, I will show you a few tips how to bypass the potential limitations of this calculation group. Let's first take a look at the basics. The cornerstone for the calculation group is selected measure. The selected measure allows us to choose all the measures dynamically. After using this selected measure, we just can continue to define the calculation logic. The chances if you are listening to this short video clip, you've been utilizing the Power BI and has been performing the calculation already. So it works very well. Then, like I said, the calculation group is coming with this latest Power BI version. If you don't have it yet, then please download the latest version of Power BI. After you downloaded the latest version, the calculation group is under the data view. When you click open the data view, you will find the calculation group on the top bar menu. Concerning the two use cases, the first one, time intelligence. In this example, all the measures are listed in the columns. These are the pre-existing measure in the data model. Then in the rows is the calculation group. Calculation group includes multiple calculation items. You have the flexibility to create as many items as you would like to, and it's just within the same calculation group. In this example, we do have the current year value for all the pre-existing measures, then previous year. The difference between current year and previous year in absolute value and in percentages. Similarly, there are budget, the difference between current and the budget, and there are forecast and the differences. That is the first use case. Let's try together in the Power BI desktop. So here we are in the Power BI desktop. And I already have this table created by using the calculation group. Let's together create a new one. To use the calculation group, please go to the model view. After clicking the model view, you will find the calculation group on top. Click that. It will add automatically one new calculation group for us. On the right, data menu. There is the calculation group. You see number 3. That is because I already have 2 calculation group. Now it's adding the third one. Under this third calculation group, there are calculation items. We can continue to add new calculation items. Let's try with this first one. Double click. This DAX bar will open. We can rename it. So now, if in this test case, I would like to calculate previous year. All right. Then this selected measure is added automatically for us. It's like dynamic selection for all the pre-existing measures. We just need to continue to write the calculation rule for all the selected measures. I will start with the basic one, calculate. Then what I want to tell is from the category in data fact table. All those are existing in my data model. That is table, that is the one dimension within this table. Then is either in this case actual or forecast. Next, I will put time intelligence calculation, date ADD. I will be utilizing the date in the running calendar table, also in the data model. With this selected, we need previous year, 12 months before. Next interval is month. You see this Power BI have the autofill function that would give us hints for each DAX we will need. I don't need to tap everything by myself, so just choose. Now, we're getting the first calculation item. In this new calculation group. We will rename it to test. In practice, we can continue to add more calculation items, as many as we need. Let me just show you one. There we are. I have two calculation groups. The one on the bottom, calculation group TI, time intelligence. There are altogether 13 calculation items. If we examine a few, the first one is just selecting the current year for the selected measures. Next, previous year. Then is utilizing the time intelligence, 12 months early. Moving forward, the difference between the current year and the previous year is just deducting the first one and the second one. The last one is calculating the percentages. By using this divide function. I'm adding a few formatting logic, but the key calculation in this percentages is basically just using the divide. Similarly, we continue with a budget, then the difference between actuals and budget. Previous forecast, the differences, initial forecast and differences. That is one calculation group. As you can see, each calculation item just defines calculation logic that will apply for all the selected measures. The second calculation group I have here is we have MTD by using this date MTD. It's also part of time intelligence. Similarly, QTD by utilizing date QTD, then YTD, date YTD. With these two calculation group created, that will lead us to this sample table. So there we are. In the value field, is the existing measures I have, and they are showing in each columns. And for the calculation group, the first one, I'm adding them there to the rows. So this so-called key measure and the rows is just the calculation group we just went through together. In addition to that, this filter field is another calculation group. That is for this year, quarter, and month. I'm just adding that as a filter. So to summarize, we could create interact with each other in this real case. In this case, I'm using the first calculation group to do these comparisons, and the second calculation group to define month to date, quarter to date, and year to date values. And I use that as a filter. Both calculation groups can control all the measures selected. We just went through two use cases. The first one is the calculation group for this time intelligence, or the comparisons. Then the second is dynamic metrics. In this, in addition to this calculation group for the comparison, we're adding the second calculation group for month to date, quarter to date, and year to date calculation. Both calculation group control the measures automatically. In the next video, we will talk about a few limitations in this calculation group and how to bypass them. Let's get a sneak peek. The first, the defaulted function in this table is we can only put the measures in columns. I will show you how to put the measures in rows while still using this calculation group. It's like this. All those key measures now are showing in the row. Then the second tip is some certain limitations of calculation group, including the data formatting. We can only do the data formatting for all the items within this calculation group. Then I will show you how to enable this individual formatting in a way we could choose the data format as we need, either in decimals, numeric value, or either in percentages, or utilizing different colors. All right, thank you for listening. Today, we learned together this new feature in Power BI calculation group. We don't need to create multiple calculated measures anymore. Instead, we can use a single logic that control all the measures. Thank you for listening.